El qué. Hola, Enric Jeremy y vaig viure en Catalunya por 6 mesos. Aquesta és la bandera de Catalunya. I lived in Catalonia for 6 months, from the beginning of October until late January. While I was there, I intended to learn Spanish because it's in Spain. But when I arrived, I quickly discovered that where I was living spoke a different language. They spoke the language of Catalan. I also discovered that politically was a very sensitive time in Catalonia. There was a lot of tension with the Spanish government and with the people, between the Catalan and the Spanish people. And so I quickly made the decision that instead of learning Spanish, I would learn Catalan instead. So while I was there on my own time, I did use internet resources. I really tried to make myself practice, and the people really appreciated the fact that I was learning Catalan, the fact that I was learning their language, and so they were able to practice with me a lot. I got a lot of practice in, and I knew that it wouldn't be very useful, and I knew that I might forget it in the future, but it felt like the right thing to do at the time. El perqué. Why does this factor in? Because when I went to Spain, I was anticipating learning Spanish. Almost everyone that I talked to that was doing the same program as me continued to pursue their Spanish learning goals. But I really saw the political context and the cultural context of where I was living. And on the first day that I was introduced to the school that I was working in, everyone that I met, the lady who was my sort of my guardian, introduced me as learning Catalan. Specifically, she said that to everyone, and everyone was very, very happy to hear that I was learning their language. So, for me, learning Catalan wasn't the most valuable thing for me to do, but I could recognize that there was a lot of value to it outside of myself, and that the people around me really would have appreciated it, and they really did. And so, you know what, I've lost a lot of the Catalan. Going forward, I think I would like to continue to learn Spanish instead, so I may lose it all, but it doesn't really matter to me, because what was important was that I recognized that where I was living, the language and the culture was so important to them that it was sort of beyond me, and beyond what necessarily it might have brought to me long term in terms of language learning. El que hará. So, in the future, I definitely want to live outside of Canada again for a couple periods of my life. I'd like to maybe go to South or Central America and keep learning Spanish. I think I can take my experience in Catalonia and help it kind of adjust my expectations before going into a situation, and realize that I may not know what's going to happen, and also not take other communities for granted, and realize that they have their own deep, rich histories, and understand that maybe what I'm expecting out of the situation may be different and may have to be adjusted or sacrificed for the sake of the situation that I'm in.